Welcome back to my channel. So if you are new, welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for joining me on this video. So in today's video, as the title suggests, I'm going to be doing a follow-up from one of my previous sit-down videos where I spoke about how I got my job in Canada, and I thought, let me just go ahead and do a follow-up because I did mention that I would do some sort of tips on how to get a job here and film this video while I'm in office because I thought, why not? So if you're interested in this video, just stay tuned and keep on watching. So I have my tips written down here in this book, and I'm just going to go through them and let you guys know what I have written down here. So this list is not exhaustive, of course. There is a lot more things that you can do to basically get a job here, the entire process, but these are some of the things that I did personally, and some of these tips I feel like would be beneficial to someone that is coming here or someone that is already here, to help you find a job. So if these tips are basically for persons that are here as an international student and you're looking at a part-time job, or if you are here on a work permit, or if you're a permanent resident. So as long as you're looking for a job, I believe that these tips would apply to you. So the first category is pre-job hunting tips. So one of the first things that I have here is know that you can start from where you were before in your home country. So if in Jamaica, India, wherever you were manager, doctor, whatever it is, know that it might be very difficult for you to get into that exact field and that exact position when you come here. So sort of set your expectations and know that you might have to start from scratch. Maybe not the very bottom, but know that it's going to be very difficult for you to get a job as a manager if you're a manager back home, or as a supervisor if you're a supervisor back home, and even within the same industry it might be a little bit difficult. So my first tip is to temper your expectations and have that in mind from the get-go. The second tip I have here is your resume. So I mean, if you're watching this, I'm pretty sure that you would have had a resume already back home, but there is a specific way that Canadian employers like their resumes. So I would recommend researching on Canadian resume writing tips and layouts. I had to do that. I had to completely overhaul my resume and basically, you know, tailor it to the Canadian job market, if that makes sense. So don't use the same exact resume that you have. Go ahead and tailor it to the Canadian, basically their format. So they have a specific way that they like their resume. So you'd have to go on and research that. So the third tip I would give is use different resumes for different positions. So before, in the past, when I was younger back home, when I was applying for jobs, I would use the same resume for everything. That's not going to work at all. So if you are applying for sort of an administrative position, then tailor your resume to jobs relating to admin positions. If you are applying to higher level positions, supervisor positions, team leader positions, tailor your resume to relate to those positions. And if you're applying to banking or insurance or, you know, different industry, you're gonna have to tailor your resume to show that you have the specific skills, qualifications, and experiences in relation to that specific job. Do not use one resume to apply for all jobs. It's going to show that you are not prepared and that you're not really interested in the particular job that you're applying for, and that you're just applying to apply sake. They will see that. So I think I mentioned that you should highlight the relevant skills and qualifications and associate it with that specific position that you're applying for, and not just sort of like a general resume. So the fifth tip that I have is no Canadian experience does not mean that you cannot get a Canadian job. So if you have no Canadian work experience, it doesn't mean that you can't get a Canadian job. I had zero Canadian work experience and I got a Canadian job. However, if you are a student and there is sort of like a co-op or an internship that is associated with your program, then I would definitely recommend utilizing that and trying to get a little Canadian work experience, because it does help. I feel like it helps for persons to have some sort of experience, even if it's, working at Tim Hortons or working at a mall, or just sort of like a very entry level position. It will help that you have some sort of a Canadian experience. It makes it easier for you to enter into the job market if you have that sort of experience. So on to job hunting now, actual job hunting. So the first tip that I would give is to create a LinkedIn profile. So LinkedIn is like your Facebook of the professional world in terms of social media. So I definitely recommend creating a proper LinkedIn profile, with a nice picture. I don't like to see the LinkedIn profiles with like a grad picture. I feel like it's a little bit immature, but as long as it's a nice professional looking picture, I would recommend putting one up. Go ahead and take the information from your resume and put it there, because LinkedIn is very good for job hunting. Very, very good. A lot of the job postings that I had applied for were through LinkedIn as well, and employers can reach out to you via LinkedIn. You can build connections on LinkedIn. So definitely create a LinkedIn profile and put effort into it, not just slabberdash it. Just put effort into it. Take your time. Might take you a few days, but put everything on there. Second tip is utilize the job search website. So Indeed was definitely one of the main ones that I used. Indeed.ca, Monster. Also utilize job agencies, because they're there and they will definitely help you. The job agencies, I find though, a lot of them are like for entry-level positions or out of call center related positions, but if you're really just trying to get your foot in the door, it shouldn't matter. So I would definitely recommend reaching out to job agencies and exploring all of those sites. Also Glassdoor as well, very, very good, and they were good to find out like different jobs and the salary ranges that different positions offer, and gave you a lot of insight into the different companies and reviews and such. So I definitely recommend signing up on Glassdoor as well. So networking, I did mention networking previously, but this is very important for you to network. So if you know people that are here already, reach out to them, ask them if they're here working, ask them if there are any job openings in their company. If they know of anyone or anywhere that is hiring. It's very important that you network, and it's very difficult for you to just come and do everything on your own, and we all need help. We all need some sort of person there that will sort of show us the ropes, not just with helping to find a job, but helping to prepare us mentally for the whole process, because it takes a lot, and it takes a lot out of you. So networking is one of the biggest tips that I would give as well throughout your job search basically. So the next tip that I have is, and I think I'm sort of mentioned this, but don't rule out jobs because they're not what you were looking for. So maybe you had in mind a specific job or position that you wanted to get, and you might have stumbled across an opportunity and they're willing to take you on. Don't rule it out. I would say still take it and continue looking for other jobs while you gain a little bit of experience. So on to the next category, which is interview tips. So most of the interviews now, I believe, are being done online. There's no interview that I did in person. Everything was online. So I'm just prepared for that. Make sure you have a laptop decent internet connection. And if you even get a job, you're going to need that, because a lot of jobs are work from home even from the beginning anyway, so you're definitely going to need somewhere with proper internet connection. You're going to need somewhere, you know, with a computer that has good audio quality. So start to put in your head already that a lot of the interviews are going to be online, so you have to kind of be technologically ready for that. So also be prepared for multiple evaluations. And I mentioned this in my previous video where I spoke about my process and some of the interviews that I went on. You have telephone interview with the recruiter or the HR person. Then they might send you a link to do an evaluation, a 10-15 minute evaluation, and it depends on the position and the company and everything. And then they might set up a first interview face-to-face, meaning like a Zoom interview with maybe HR personnel and one other person from that specific job position that you're applying for. Then they might request a second interview. So be prepared for multiple evaluations, multiple interactions for one company for one position. And if you're applying to several companies, you're gonna have several interviews with the same process. That's just how it is here. So just like sort of mentally prepare yourself, and you know, sort of write down all of your interviews that you have in your like a date book, or schedule them, put it in your Google Calendar, whatever it is you use to keep organized, because you're gonna need it. Next step is, I would advise, especially if you're coming from a country where English is not your first language, or you're not really so versed in the English language, I think this tip is very downplayed, because people assume that, well, you know, if you talk English, and you might be very smart and very adept at learning new things and just really good at your job, but I find that you should have a very good command of the English language, because it invokes confidence, and you would be able to communicate clearly to, you know, your interviewers, and it shows a level of aptitude. Even if you really don't know a lot about the position, if you speak as if you do in a very clear, concise, you know, way, it's like, yeah, like this person sounds like they could possibly know how to do this job, just because you're able to communicate effectively and efficiently. So ensure that you practice your English. You know, talk to yourself in the mirror, talk to other persons, practice if you're not very good at it. So that's my next tip. Confidence is key. So be wrong and strong here. If you're saying something and you're even applying for a job that you know absolutely nothing about, do a little research on it, but be confident in what you're saying. Be confident in everything that you're saying. And if you start to lose confidence, they're going to see that. So you have to be wrong and strong. The next thing I have is set expectations in the interview space about salary, about working hours, about the specifics of the job, also about benefits. These are some of the things that I believe, you know, as a younger person, I was afraid to sort of bring up these things in interviews, especially salary, of course. But here, they literally ask you, how much money are you expecting? You like say it, and you need to say it with confidence, but make sure you do your research about the position, about the range, so that you're not underselling or overselling, you know. So yeah, like set those expectations, ensure that you know what you're getting yourself into, because when you start for work and then you realize you're working 9 hours a day and they don't pay you for lunch, that's a thing. Or, you know, there are certain things that are not covered, or you don't get health insurance, whatever it is. So just make sure that you set your expectations. And the last thing that I have here is that references are a thing. And even if you have no Canadian work experience, they are going to ask you for your references back home. So make sure you don't burn your bridges. Make sure you have at least 2 to 3 references of previous, managers or supervisors, persons that you work with back home that would be able to write a letter or an email or something on your behalf with regards to your professional experience. So yeah, guys, that's all the tips that I have for today, and I hope you guys are able to take something from it. If you have any questions for me, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below, and I will definitely answer them, or you can send me a DM on Instagram and I'll also answer those. I get so many DMs from you guys, and like I'm so happy that we have formed like a little community here, and I really love you guys. I sometimes it's so hard for me because I'm so busy with work and everything that it takes me a while to check, but I will check. So go ahead and send me a message on Instagram or leave your comments down below, and I will be happy to answer them. So with that, guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye.